Hey, what's going on? I'm DJ Sixsmith. You're watching the Sit Down. Look who we got. It's Ashley Tisdale.
Hi.
Brand new Netflix show.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Merry, happy, whatever. What has this chapter been like for you so far in your career?
It's been really awesome, actually. You know, playing this character, Kayla, I did not really know what to expect because I only saw the first episode, and Tucker Colley, the creator, really didn't let me in on what Kayla's arc was going to be, which is a pretty amazing journey that she goes on. So I didn't expect that it would be so fulfilling, but it was really fulfilling for me as an actor. I was just like, after I was done with it, I was just like, wow, like I got to do things I really haven't done in my career yet, and I felt really good about it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you've been in TV for a long time. It's pretty awesome to see like just how the medium has shifted to a character that like is going through some emotional stuff, has to have a tough conversation with her father. Like that wasn't happening, you know, 5, 10, 15 years ago.
I know.
Cool.
It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So what was it like working with Dennis Quaid? What did you like the most about that experience?
Oh my gosh, he is awesome. I was obviously a huge fan of his since Parent Trap, so when I first met him, I was like really nervous because I was like intimidated. But then he like talks to you and he's the nicest guy ever. So he quickly just became such a, I don't know, like just, he's such a great guy. He's like my dad pretty much. And it was great to work off of him, especially in the emotional scenes, because I think, you know, one thing that I love about this show is that I've done comedy a lot in the past, but I've been wanting to do a comedy that has a lot of emotional depth to it. And in this show, you have the heartwarming moments and you have the emotional moments, and it was really easy. Like every single time I, you know, had to get emotional in the scenes, I would just look at Dennis, and he's so good and so present in his character that like he had tears in his eyes, and then you just like, it helps support you. And so it was really cool to work with him.
How hard is it to find a comedy with emotional depth? Like, do you really have to kind of look around, or do you think like the writing is getting better with the stuff that's out there?
I think it just depends, you know, what kind of comedy it is. A lot of the time sitcoms, you know, just kind of, especially maybe for network, is a little bit more surface, or like, you know, there's a workspace comedy that I just feel like, I don't know, it's just hard to find that. But I think the reason why this one has it is because it's about the holidays, and it's about a dysfunctional family at the holidays. So it's very grounded, but there's just so much that happens at that time. And also, I think being on Netflix, we are an actual 30-minute show because there's no advertising, where, you know, it's hard to write that stuff in a series on a network because it ends up being only 20 minutes with advertising. So I think there's just like ways that Tucker, and it depends on the creator, it's what he wants. And this is really close to him because it's actually about his in-laws and his family. So he did a really good job.
I think it's refreshing also because like life is just dysfunctional in general. Like people have issues with their family. Like we've seen so many TV families where it's like it's so perfect, and
and
it's
like
nice
Christmas movies that's just all about the romance.
Right,
and
it's like, no, actually life's not really like that.
No, life is dysfunctional sometimes.
What did you learn about yourself as an actor in this?
Man, I think I learned to persevere. I think that I went through a really tough time. I lost my dog during the shooting of this show, and so it was really hard because the next day I had a lot of my scenes for one of the episodes, and so it was just like, you know, it was a really painful time in my life, but I kept going, and I think Kayla allowed me to kind of step out of the pain I was going through and be able to portray her. And it was just, I don't know, like I have a closeness to the character because of it.
It's interesting because like you're going through that in your life. Like it's always nice when the character kind of coincides emotionally with what you're going through. Because like if you hadn't gone through that necessarily, you're still able to get into it, but maybe you don't get as far.
No, it was definitely, I mean, it was a journey for sure.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a pretty interesting year for you, music-wise, business-wise. What have been some of the highlights for you this year?
Oh man, I mean, I think obviously Symptoms, my album that I came out with, also Merry Happy, Carol's Second Act, which is the CBS show I'm on. They're all like blessings. I think that, you know, for me, what I really have enjoyed recently is just being more authentic. And that I had rediscovered myself with, you know, what I'd gone through, which is why I came out with Symptoms on anxiety and depression. And since then, I feel like I'm really proud of my work, which in the past, I can't say I was like, oh, I'm so proud of myself in this movie, or I'm so proud of myself in this TV show. I'm usually pretty hard on myself. And, but yeah, I think that there's like something's changed in me where I really appreciate, and I think that shows in my work now. And I just have like a level of groundedness, I think. So yeah, it's been a lot of really fun stuff this year.
That's awesome. When do you think that shift happened for you?
I believe it happened when I was doing the album Symptoms. You know, I believe that when I really got to know who I was and really knew all of the, you know, that I had been in, you know, depression moments, and that I acknowledged those things, was when I really fell in like love with myself, I guess. I used to kind of hide that stuff and be like more embarrassed, or, you know, had anxiety off of it, because I was like, I don't think it was because of pressure, but I was just felt like people saw me a certain way and I had to kind of be that person that they thought I was. And it wasn't until I fully accepted that I'm not perfect and I don't really want to be perfect. And I find it to be the most beautiful thing about people, because it's like, no one's perfect. We all have our things that we go through. And I think that that's the most beautiful thing about someone.
Yeah, and it's exhausting to try and fit that mold.
Yeah.
Especially for you, like you've been doing this since you were a kid. You know, it's like, what, 2 decades of doing this stuff? Like it's a long burn. And so to keep going that way, you finally just were like, I can't do this anymore. I give you a ton of credit for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's definitely not an easy thing.
Yeah.
So when you think about all the different things you do, music, business, acting, who are some of the influences for you along the way?
Influences. I mean, who do I love? Well, I love Jennifer Aniston. I've always been a big fan of hers, obviously, coming from comedy. But Reese Witherspoon, she has her stuff together.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, she
like
acts, produces, and like, yeah, and it's just like all amazing quality stuff. So it's like really cool to look at her and watch her. I don't really know. I don't really have like a crazy, you know, I like to, I love a lot of people, and I get inspired by a lot of people, but I'm not like, you know, I always feel that, I guess my path is always going to be different from everybody else's, so I try to do me,
Well, I mean, the Reese Witherspoon thing is interesting because, like, she did her own production company, making her own stuff. Like, I'm sure that is something that you're like, this is what needed to happen for a really long time in this industry.
Yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. I've had my production company for a long time, but, you know, I think it's just like cool to see someone that's like doing it and killing it in every single category. I mean, I feel like for me sometimes, you know, some stuff will suffer when I'm focused more, because it's hard to really focus on a bunch of things at a time. And acting has always been the #1 priority. So it's just like when I'm in too many different fields, it's like something's bound to, like, you know, not be the most successful thing. And so, you know, I think it's really inspiring to see her being able to do it all.
Well, one person who's been killing it for a while is Patricia Heaton. You get to work with her. I mean, Carol's second act has been great for you. So what have been the best parts of that experience?
Oh, man. I mean, just working with Patricia Heaton, pretty much. She's, like, amazing.
Like, what do you pick up from her? I mean, you've worked with a ton of talented people. What stands out about her?
Well, she just, like, I don't know. I think it's just, I think just meeting people and meeting how like sometimes we have in our mind, we have experiences we've had with people that might not be the best experiences, so you get nervous when you're like working on a new project. And I think with her, it's just like refreshing to know that she's won 3 Emmys and has always been on TV consistently and is like a really grounded and nice person. And it's just like, it's refreshing. You're like, yes, you can do that and be this person. And so she's a big family person. And also she just like carries that show, and like our writing gets, you know, changed a lot. And so in front of the live audience, she's just constantly, you'll see her just like, you know, trying to remember each of the things, but then like suddenly she adds something totally different than she did in rehearsal. And so you're like really inspired by that. But she's pretty awesome. The whole cast is great.
Seems like a good crew.
Kyle MacLachlan's pretty cool too. So
that's awesome. So when I think of your career, you've done a bunch of different things, but what stands out to you? Like, I like to ask actors this question because maybe it's a show or a movie that doesn't stand out to me, but like it was a killer experience for you.
Man, I don't know. I think that killer experience for me, I feel like I've done so much. I'm trying to think of like what exactly it would be.
I mean, was it like the beginning when you were first getting on TV? Is it like when stuff's blowing up on Disney? Is it after Disney? Like what fulfills you? Because this is something that fulfills you because it's different. You're tapping into different emotions, but maybe it's something musically. Like what really sticks with you all these years later?
I guess, you know, it would be working with Disney and doing all of the different projects there, because I think it really prepared me, you know, to kind of live the life that I'm living, which is I do a lot of stuff.
Right.
And being on Disney, I was, you know, doing High School Musical. I was doing Sweet Life, Zack and Cody. I was recording my first album and also doing Phineas and Ferb, the animation series. So I had a lot going on. And I think that that really prepared me to be able to move on from that and, you know, kind of have my hands in a lot of different things. So that's, you know, that's a pretty cool experience.
I'd say so. And at that point, like what? How old are you doing all this stuff? Like
I was like 19.
19, 20.
Yeah.
So you're like maybe a little bit older than some of the other people in those circles,
know.
but still like 4 things at once. Like how do you even balance something like that? Like how did you manage it?
I don't know. I had a lot of energy, to be honest.
A little bit more than that.
A little as I've gotten older, I'm like a little more tired. But yeah, I mean, my energy was just like, I just get inspired and then I'm like, I've got to do it. Like I'm an extremist, so it's like if I have an idea, it's like I got to get that done.
I hear you. You're somebody that people know a lot about. What would surprise people about your career or just about some of the challenges you faced along the way?
I think that, yeah, I mean, I feel like some of the challenges I faced along the way is just that, you know, I've really had to fight for each role that I've ever gotten. This is actually the first time where I haven't had to prove myself to the creator.
Wow.
And everything that I've ever done, I've had to go on multiple auditions and callbacks and really convince them that I was right for the role and fight for it, pretty much is how they say.
Yeah.
And then this one actually was the first role where I met with Tucker. I saw him again, and he was just like, she's Kayla. And it's crazy because once you know about Kayla's journey, you're like, wow, he knew that I could do all that? Like, that's crazy that he trusted. And it was just something that was really cool, and I always appreciated.
Yeah, that's interesting because you've done so many different things, yet you still have to go through the whole process.
I know.
You know?
It wasn't easy, that's for sure. But I think that everyone has their own journey. I think I'm probably more grateful for each role because I think for me specifically, if I get something given to me, you know, really easily, then I'm like, oh, don't, you know, I take it for granted. Right. So, yeah.
No, there's something about the process to make it work. Is there a part you didn't get along the way you wish you would have gotten? Something that would have been
so
like,
many
cool?
Parts. There's so many. I can't even name any.
I mean, you've been in the mix for a while.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I've been up for many different movies and TV shows, so there's definitely, I would say 90% of this business is rejection.
Oh, it's a ton of rejection. Like, people don't understand how many no's you're going to get.
Yeah. You have to be tough, and you have to, like, I think in order to be an actor, you just have to, like, keep going. That's, you know, definitely something that you got to do.
What haven't you done yet that you'd still like to do?
I mean, I don't know. I don't really look too far into, like, what haven't I done yet. I like to keep doing what I'm doing but get better at what I'm doing. And, I mean, I would love to do, you know, more. I'm on 2 TV shows, so I can't say
that's pretty
another
good deal
TV show.
right now. Yeah.
But, I mean, just playing different roles. I want to play, like, I would love to play roles like Kayla where it shows me a little different than what people have seen me do before.
Yeah, it's nice to break that mold.
Yeah.
So bringing it back to the show, what do you want people to feel, think about when they check this out, whether it's with their family, over the holidays? Like, what's most important to you about the show? I
mean, I think they'll have fun. I think it's such a great, heartwarming show, but it's still really grounded. It's so easy to binge watch, and I think they'll fall in love with the Quinn family. I think the Quinn family is pretty awesome, even though they, you know, Don has his rules and their traditions, but I think it's a really fun show. I
mean, you got people asking about season 2 already.
I know.
That just goes to show where it's at.
Yeah, seriously.
That's awesome. Ashley, really nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks so much. Check her out on the show. She's on CBS, on Netflix. She's everywhere. For Ashley, I'm DJ. See you next time. You're on SitDown.